Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're continuing with the playlist for IGCSE Edexcel Maths A topic-wise questions using exam past papers. In this video, we'll be discussing cumulative frequency. We're going to discuss the different type of questions you can get for cumulative frequency. In these questions, you'll realize that most of the time they're asking you to find the median, the interquartile range, or how the values will be beyond this point or less than a point. And if you're someone who doesn't know about this playlist, check out the link above. In this playlist, you will come across questions for all topics that come in IGCSE Edexcel Maths A. You can also use this playlist to study for GCSE Edexcel Maths, Cambridge Maths, and even O-Level Maths. So without further delay, let's start the question. It says the frequency table gives information about the times in minutes that 60 people took to complete a puzzle. So we have a frequency table where we have the intervals in one row and the corresponding frequency in the other row. They're saying complete the cumulative frequency table. So first thing you need to know about the cumulative frequency topic is that how do we find the cumulative frequency? In cumulative frequency, what we do is we add each consecutive frequency, and then by the end, our answer should equal to the total number of people. So over here, there's 60 people in total. So this value over here needs to be 60. So let's see how we can get that. Starting number is always the same. So 8 is the starting frequency, so we start with that. Now, for the interval of 0 to 20, we will add 8 and 13. Why? Because this is 0 to 20. This was 10 to 20. So 0 to 20 is all of this. So 8 plus 13 over here, which is going to be 21. Now it's 0 to 30. So 0 to 30 is going to be all of this. So you can add 21 to 12, which is going to give us 33. Then it's 0 to 40. So again, all of this. So to 33, we add 17. That equals 50. Then from 0 to 50, we add 7 to 50. So that's 57. And lastly, 57 plus 3, which is 60. So simple as that. You just need to keep on adding each consecutive frequency. And the most important thing you need to realize is that in the frequency table, the intervals are starting and ending from different points. But over here, the starting point is exactly the same, which is 0. So that means you're starting from the beginning until that point. So which means all of the frequencies in that interval will be added to get the cumulative frequency for that interval now. Then it says on the grid opposite, draw a cumulative frequency graph for a table. So once we have the cumulative frequency values, next step is to know how to sketch a cumulative frequency graph. Now, when you're trying to draw the cumulative frequency graph, our y value is going to be the cumulative frequency value. For the x value, what we do is we always pick the maximum value of the intervals. So when the cumulative frequency is 8, your x value is going to be 10. When it's 21, your x value is going to be 20 and so on. So remember, when you're drawing the cumulative frequency graph, we don't choose the midpoint. We don't choose the smallest value. We choose the maximum value of the interval for the x coordinate. So now let's plot the points. So when x is 10, y is 8. So this is our first point. Then when x is 20, y is 21. This is our second point. When x is 30, y is 33. Third point. When x is 40, y is 50. When x is 50, y is 57. And then when x is 60, y is also 60. So starting point is 0. So we connect the points. And this is a cumulative frequency graph. Now, next step is to use the graph to find an estimate for the median time. Median is half. So in total, we had 60 people. So 60 divided by 2 is 30. So we need to find how much time 30 people are taking to complete the puzzle. So we go to the y-axis, draw a line from 30 towards the graph. And what I'm getting is 27 minutes. So simple as that, you divide the total frequency by 2, that gives you half the frequency. Draw a line from that frequency value towards the graph line, and then see what the corresponding x value is going to be. So that's 27. Then it says use your graph to find an estimate for the number of these people who took more than 45 minutes to complete the puzzle. Now, more than 45 minutes. So we go at 45 over here on the x-axis. Draw a line towards the graph. And that gives us 54 over here. The question says, use your graph to find estimate of the number of people who took more than 45 minutes. More than 45 minutes means all of these. So we subtract 54 from 60 to get the number of people who took more than 45 minutes. 54 people took 45 minutes. We need more than 45 minutes. So 60 minus 54, which gives us 6. So 6 people in total took more than 45 minutes to complete the puzzle. So this is how you solve a question for cumulative frequency. Then the next question says the cumulative frequency graphs gives information about the time in minutes each of the 60 people took to shop in a market. Now, in this question, they've already given the graph, so you don't have to draw it. We have to use the graph to find an estimate for the median time people took to shop in the market. So first step is the same as we did in the previous one. We're going to divide the total number of people by 2. So 60 divided by 2 is 30. So we draw a line from 30 towards the curve and see what the corresponding x value is going to be. This is 44. So it took them 44 minutes to shop in the market. Then it says use the graph to find an estimate for the number of people who took longer than 55 minutes to shop in the market. So same thing. We draw a line from 55. And that comes at 48. So since we want to know the number of people who took longer than 55 minutes, so that means it's going to include this region because this is for more than 55 minutes. So we do 60 minus 48, which gives us 12. So 12 people took longer than 55 minutes to shop in the market. And part C says use the graph to complete the frequency table to give information about the time in minutes each of the 60 people took to shop in the market. Now, this is different from the previous question because in that question, they gave us the frequency table and they were asking us to find the cumulative frequency values. Now, they want us to use the cumulative frequency graph to figure out the frequency values. So we're kind of going backwards. So what we'll do is we'll first figure out the cumulative frequency values from the graph. So our endpoints are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So at 10, let's draw a line. We have 3. So first value is 3. Then at 20, we have 8. Then at 30, we have 15. Then 40, is 24 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 5, 25. Then at 50, we have 40. 60, we have 55, and at 70, it's 60. So these are your cumulative frequency values. Let's go back to the frequency table and then use these values to figure out the frequency values. Okay, so these are our cumulative frequency values. So we know first one is going to be the same, so it's 3. Now second one is 8, which means this is going to be 5 because now we're subtracting. To get the cumulative frequency values, we were adding each consecutive value, but to get the frequency value, we're going to subtract them. So third one is coming out as 15, which means we're going to subtract 3 and 5 from 15, which is going to give us 7. Then next is 25. So that means we're going to subtract 3, 5, 7 from 25. So that is going to give us 10. Then we're going to subtract these from 40. So that will give us 15. Then we're going to subtract all of these from 55, 15. Then for the last one, we subtract all of these from 60, which gives us 5. So another thing you can do is you can just subtract the consecutive cumulative frequency values. That's easier actually. We can do 8 minus 3, then we can do 15 minus 8, then 25 minus 15, 40 minus 25, 55 minus 40, and then lastly 60 minus 55. That will also give you the corresponding frequency value. So whichever way is easier for you to understand, just stick to that and you'll be easily able to solve the question. And the next question says the cumulative frequency table gives information about the distance in kilometers that each of 80 workers travel from home to work at office A. On the grid below, draw a cumulative frequency graph for the information in the table. So they've already given us the cumulative frequency. We just have to plot the points. As you know, for the x-axis, we pick the maximum points in the intervals. So just going to stick to that. So when D is 5, Y is 17. So let's plot the points. Then when D is 10, Y is 32. Then when D is 15, Y is 57. Then when D is 20, Y is 70. When D is 25, Y is 76. And then when D is 30, Y is 80. So now starting from 0, we're going to connect all the points. This is our cumulative frequency graph. Then it says use your graph to find an estimate for the median distance traveled, and then you have to find the interquartile range. So for the median distance, we know we divide the total number of workers by 2. So 80 divided by 2, which is 40. We draw a line from 40 towards the graph and see what the corresponding x value is coming out to be, which in this case is going to be 11.5. So for us, it's going to be 11.5 kilometers. In these type of questions, since it says the estimate of the median value, so they will always give you a range of values. And as long as your value is in that range, your answer would be incorrect. As long as your value is in that range, your answer would be correct. So no need to worry if someone else has a different value and you have a different value. It's fine. It just needs to be in that range of values. Then we have to find the interquartile range. For the interquartile range, we need the upper quartile and lower quartile. So for the upper quartile, we need 3/4 of 80. So 3/4 of 80 is going to be 60. So we draw a line from 60 towards the graph and see what the D value is for that, which is coming out to be 16. And then for the lower quartile, we find 1/4 of 80, which is 20. So 20th value, we draw a line from 20 towards it, and we see that it comes out to be 6. So interquartile range is going to be the difference of 16 and 6, which is 10. So 10 kilometers is your interquartile range. Once again, this is also an estimate because everyone's graph is going to be slightly different because it's freehand and it's a curve. It's not like straight lines connected. So as long as your answer is in that range, your answer will be correct. So 11.5 over here and 10 over here. Then it says for office week, the median distance workers travel from home to work is 15 kilometers and the interquartile range is 5 kilometers. Use information above to compare the distances that workers at office A and workers at office B travel from home to work. Write down 2 comparisons. So for this part, you need to know what the significance is for the median value and the interquartile range when we're comparing two things. So if something has a higher median value, that means that that person is doing that thing more frequently. So in this case, office B has a median distance of 15. Office A had a median distance of 11.5. So since office B has a higher median, office B has a higher median, it means the workers are traveling further than those of office A. Please excuse my handwriting. But like a higher median value means that they're doing that thing more frequently. So if the median value for the distance is higher, that means they're traveling further away compared to those of office A. Then for the interquartile range, if someone has a higher interquartile range, that means the data values are more spread out. So interquartile range of office A is higher, which means the values are more spread out. The higher the interquartile range, the values are more spread out. The lower the interquartile range, the values are less spread out. So that's how you compare when you have like a median value and interquartile value given for like two different things, and they're asking you to explain like, what does it signify? Then this question says a group of 60 students each sat an algebra test and a geometry test. Each test was marked out of 110. The cumulative frequency graph gives information about the marks gained by the 60 students in the algebra test. So they've already given us the graph for the algebra test. Use the graph to find an estimate for the median mark in the algebra test. So by now, you should be very well aware about how to find the median value using the graph. So we divide 60 by 2, which is 30. So we draw a line from 30 towards the curve, and that gives us 48. So that's your median value. Then use the graph to find an estimate for the number of students who gained 58 marks or less in the algebra test. So this is slightly different from the ones that we've done previously. Those one always focused on more than a value. Now this is less than it. So we draw a line from 58 towards the graph. And that's giving us 46. So they want us to find an estimate for the number of students who gained 58 marks or less. So that's 46. If it was more, then you would subtract 46 from 60 to get the number of people who scored more. But now the focus is on this part over here. So this part is 46 people. Then part C says use the graph to find estimate for the interquartile range of the marks gained in the algebra test. So for the interquartile range, we know we have to find the upper quartile and the lower quartile. So for the upper quartile, we do 304 times 60, which is going to give us 45. So we have to find the 45th value. And then for the lower quartile, 104 times 60, we have to find the 15th value. So now we go back to the graph and find the 45th and the 15th value. So 45th value is this one, and then the 15th value, that's this. So over here it's 40 and over here it's 56. So we do 56 minus 40 and that gives us the interquartile range. 56 minus 40 and that is equal to 60. That's the interquartile range. Then the interquartile range of the marks gained in the geometry test is 9. Louis says the students' marks are more spread out in the algebra test than in the geometry test. Is Louis correct? So in the geometry test, we get a 9, and for the algebra, it's a 16. So he is correct because, like, the higher the interquartile range, the more the values are spread out. So yes, higher interquartile range means the values are more spread out. This is the exact same thing that we discussed in the previous question as well. Then to be awarded a grade A in the algebra test, a student has to gain a mark greater than 64. 2 students are to be selected at random from the 60 students of the group. Use the graph to find an estimate for the probability that both of these students were awarded a grade A in the algebra test. So to get an A, the student needs to get a mark that is greater than 64. So let's go back to the graph. So 64 is going to be from here. So these are the number of students who get NA because this is more than 64. So what we do is we subtract 50 from 60. So 60 minus 50, which gives us 10. So 10 students are getting an A. Now the question is saying 2 students are to be selected at random from the 60 students in the group. We have to find an estimate for the probability that both of these students were awarded a grade A in the algebra test. So out of the 60 students, we know 10 students can get an A. So for the probability, we will do 10 out of 60. That's the probability of one student getting an A. Then 9 out of 59. Why 9 out of 15? Because one student is already selected and he's getting an A. So now there's one less student in the total number of students and one less student in the students who are going to get an A. So 10 over 60 times 9 over 59, which is going to equal to 3 over 118. So that's the probability. Very simple, nothing complicated. Like if you know how to find the probability when nothing is being replaced, this is the exact same concept. If one student is already getting an A, you cannot expect that student to get an A again. So that student is already out of the sample. So now there's going to be one less. That's why it's 9 over 59 for the other student getting an A. And with that, we're done with the questions for cumulative frequency graphs. If you have any confusions, please leave a comment below and I'll try to help you out. And if you understood everything, please like and subscribe. And do share this video with your friends. And don't forget to check out the other videos in the playlist because they're greatly going to help you in your exam prep.